The only...
What the fuck? Who the fuck? Where's Billy? You asshole! Tell me what the fuck he is!
It's the abandoned mental hospital.
Call him.
The f***ing guy, Billy.
What the fuck are you talking about? So what?
So this motherfucker.
The movie begins with Nick Hume, a devoted husband to Helen and father to two sons, Brendan and Luke. As a vice president at an insurance company, Nick is meticulous about keeping his accounts in order and following procedures. After work, he returns home for dinner, where the family discusses their plans for Saturday. Nick will take Brendan to his hockey game, while Helen takes Luke to his soccer match. At the hockey game, Brendan performs exceptionally well, with Nick enthusiastically cheering him on. On their drive home, they talk about Brendan's plans to attend college in Canada and pursue a professional career. As they drive, Nick flashes his headlights at two cars with their lights off. They later stop at a gas station to refuel, where Brendan goes inside to buy a smoothie. Soon, the same two cars they had passed earlier arrive at the station, carrying a group of gang members preparing to rob the place. When the station owner reaches for his gun, one of the gang members shoots him dead. As part of an initiation, a new gang member must prove himself, so he brutally slashes Brendan's throat with a machete. Nick chases after the gang members as they flee, managing to tackle the one who killed Brendan as he tries to escape. He pulls off the attacker's mask before the culprit breaks free and runs into the street, where he is struck by a car. Nick rushes back to Brendan and desperately takes him to the hospital, but despite his efforts, Brendan succumbs to his injuries and dies. Later, at a police lineup, Nick identifies the suspect as 22-year-old Joe Darley. After Brendan's funeral, Nick asks Helen if she wants to attend the pretrial the next day, but she declines, urging him to make sure the animal is put behind bars. That night, Luke mourns in Brendan's room, weeping over a photo of him and his brother, while Helen cries in bed with Nick. The next day, Nick meets with the district attorney and is shocked to learn that if the case even goes to trial, Joe would likely receive only a 3 to 5 year sentence instead of the life imprisonment Nick expected. The case is weak, Nick is the sole witness, the security cameras weren't working, and the machete used in the crime is missing. Later in court, Joe mockingly gestures at Nick. When asked to confirm the identification, Nick suddenly claims he isn't sure, stating that it was too dark to see clearly. His false statement prompts the district attorney to dismiss the case, resulting in Joe's immediate release. Billy Darley, the ruthless leader of the gang, picks up Joe outside the courthouse. Billy and the gang celebrate Joe's release, with Billy expressing pride in his brother. Watching from his car across the street, Nick follows them as they take Joe to an apartment complex, where he is left to celebrate his freedom with a prostitute. Nick then returns home, retrieves a knife from his shed, and informs Helen that Joe has been released. However, he lies to her, claiming that Joe wasn't Brendan's killer and that the police will continue searching for the real culprit. That night, Nick waits outside the apartment complex for Joe. When Joe steps out to take out the trash, Nick ambushes him, stabbing him to death. Shaken, he grabs the knife and flees. Stopping at a small bridge, he wipes his fingerprints off the weapon and throws it into the water. His hand, injured during the struggle, is bleeding. When he arrives home, he tells Helen he slipped in the driveway and cut himself. Later, in the shower, guilt washes over him, and he breaks down in tears. Helen finds him and comforts him. The next day, Billy visits a shady auto repair shop that doubles as an illegal gun market, run by his father, Bones Darley. Bones scolds Billy for failing to collect enough protection money. Later, at his drug lab, one of his men informs him of Joe's death. Meanwhile, Detective Jessica Wallace visits Nick at his office and informs him about Joe's murder. She notices his bandaged hand and leaves, quietly suspecting his involvement. Determined to avenge Joe, Billy rules out other suspects and sets his sights on Nick. A few days later, Billy and his gang launch a bold, daylight attack on Nick outside his office. A high-speed chase ensues through the streets, but Nick manages to escape. During a confrontation on the rooftop of a parking garage, he kills a second gang member, sending him plummeting into a car below. The police quickly realize that Nick has ignited a war with the gang, but without concrete evidence, they refrain from arresting him. Later, Billy sends one of his men to deliver a package to Nick's office. Inside, Nick finds a briefcase containing photos of his family. Each face is marked with red ink, except his own, which has a phone number written on the back. When Nick calls the number, Billy answers and threatens to kill his family. Panicked, Nick immediately calls Helen, then contacts Detective Wallace, before rushing home. When he arrives, Wallace confronts him in front of Helen, revealing that his actions have sparked a war with the gang. Helen is shocked, but Nick refuses to admit to anything. In response to the threat, Wallace arranges police protection for the family. That night, as Helen comforts Nick over what he has done, the gang ambushes their home. The two officers assigned to protect them are killed, and the gang members break in, opening fire. The gang shoots Nick, Helen, and Luke. Nick regains consciousness in the hospital and learns that while he survived, Helen did not. Luke is alive but remains in a coma. Heartbroken, he visits his unconscious son and reflects on how life is not as neatly structured as he once believed. Under police watch, he manages to escape the hospital through Luke's window, determined to take matters into his own hands. The next morning, Nick withdraws all his money and cash and enlists a co-worker to trace the phone number the gang used to call him. Determined to take action, he heads to the Four Roses bar, where he forcefully pressures the bartender into giving up the location of one of the gang members and a place where he can buy weapons. Nick then visits Bones Darley at his black market gun shop, hidden within a shady auto repair shop. Using all his cash, he purchases a .357 Magnum revolver, a Colt .45 semi-automatic pistol, and a double-barreled 12-gauge shotgun, along with ammunition. During their conversation, Bones reveals that he is Billy and Joe's father. However, rather than stopping Nick, he lets him go, believing that Billy must face the consequences of his reckless actions, which were carried out without his father's approval. Preparing for what may be a suicide mission, Nick shaves his head and wears Brendan's black leather jacket. He tracks down one of the gang members at his apartment, forces him to reveal the gang's hideout, and then coerces him into calling Billy. As Billy listens on the other end, Nick executes the gang member with a point-blank gunshot. Meanwhile, Bones drives to a freeway underpass to confront Billy, angrily blaming him for his mistakes and warning him about Nick's imminent attack. But instead of heeding the warning, Billy kills his own father. Taking Bones' car, he heads back to the gang's headquarters, an abandoned hospital known as the Office, where they manufacture and distribute drugs like marijuana and crystal meth. Nick steals a gang member's car and spots a van parked outside their hideout. Without hesitation, he slams into it at full speed, splitting it in half and killing the gang member inside. Entering the office, he quickly takes down another gang member with his shotgun and chases a third. He fires, blasting the man through a window. As two more gang members pursue him up a staircase, Nick gains the high ground. He shoots one from above with his .45 pistol and finishes him off with a shotgun blast. Meanwhile, Billy arrives, only to discover that nearly his entire gang has been wiped out, several members having been killed off-screen during the fight. Upstairs, Nick and another gang member exchange shotgun blasts through a wall. The gang member is fatally hit, and Nick continues forward into what was once a church sanctuary, now illuminated by a deep red glow from the stained glass. Billy suddenly appears and shoots Nick in the side, but Nick fires back, wounding Billy in the chest. Billy's right-hand man, Bodie, sneaks up and shoots Nick through the neck from behind. Nick spins and kills him with a headshot. Wounded and exhausted, Nick and Billy continue firing at each other until they both run out of ammo. Slumping onto a church pew, they sit bleeding. Billy looks at Nick and smirks, saying he has made him look like one of them. Unfazed, Nick pulls out the .357 revolver from his jacket, cocks it, and simply asks him if he's ready. Billy sighs in resignation. Sometime later, as dawn breaks, Nick staggers out of the building alone, implying that he has killed Billy. Returning home in the gang's Mustang, he parks it on his front lawn. Limping from a gunshot wound to his leg and holding a blood-soaked bandana to his neck, he stumbles inside and turns on the TV. A home video of a family celebration plays. Detective Wallace informs him that Luke has started moving and will likely survive. A faint sense of relief crosses Nick's face as he watches the video of his family, Helen, Luke, Brendan, and himself singing together on the couch. As the memory plays, he slumps over, his shaved head scarred and bloodied, his eyes slowly closing. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.